My beloved child, stop for a moment. Do not rush past this message. Because tonight's story begins inside a house where nobody realized how much pressure had quietly accumulated behind the smiles. Everything looked normal. At least from the outside. The lights were on. The bills were paid. Dinner still appeared on the table. People still greeted each other politely. But underneath all of that, something was changing. Something heavy. Something exhausting. Something nobody wanted to talk about openly. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, some storms do not arrive suddenly. They build quietly through months of stress, worry, and silent fear. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father sat alone in the kitchen after everyone went to bed. The house was silent. The clock ticked softly. A stack of unopened papers rested on the table. And for the first time, he allowed himself to admit something honestly. He was tired. Not physically. Not only financially. Emotionally tired. The kind of exhaustion people carry when they spend too long trying to protect everyone else from their worries. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, many people carry burdens alone because they believe protecting others means hiding their struggles. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening has been carrying more pressure than anyone realizes. The father looked toward the living room. Family photographs covered the walls. Birthday memories. Holiday memories. Simple moments. And suddenly, he felt afraid. Not of losing possessions. Afraid of becoming so consumed by pressure that he stopped being emotionally present for the people he loved most. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, financial pressure becomes dangerous when it begins stealing peace, connection, and hope from the home. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed that reminder tonight. Earlier that week, something unexpected happened. His daughter asked a simple question. Dad, are you okay? He answered quickly. Of course. But the truth was, she saw through the answer immediately. Because children often notice emotional exhaustion long before adults admit it. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, people who love you often see your pain before you are willing to acknowledge it yourself. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father stared at the papers again. And suddenly, he remembered something his daughter said a few days earlier. Even when things feel difficult, we're still a family. At the time, he smiled politely. But tonight, those words returned differently. Because suddenly, he realized the greatest asset inside the house had never been money. It was unity. Trust. Connection. Hope. The invisible things pressure often tries to steal first. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, never allow temporary struggles to convince you that lasting hope has disappeared. Pause there. Because somebody listening felt that deeply tonight. The father stood and quietly walked through the house. His wife slept peacefully. His daughter had fallen asleep while reading. The hallway lights glowed softly. And suddenly, his heart broke. Because he realized how hard everyone had been trying. Not perfectly. Faithfully. Quietly. Together. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, some of the strongest families are not the ones without struggles. They are the ones who continue choosing each other during difficult seasons. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The father stopped outside his daughter's room. And through the slightly open door, he noticed something resting on her desk. A handwritten note. Not meant for anyone else. Just a personal reminder. And written across the top were words that immediately filled his eyes with tears. We are stronger than this season. The moment he read those words, everything changed. Because suddenly, he realized hope was still alive inside the house. Even when pressure tried convincing everyone otherwise. You may notice the QR code on the screen or the link in the first comment and description. For some viewers, it becomes a meaningful place to continue reflecting on messages like these, explore prayer resources, connect with encouraging community discussions, or discover additional faith-centered reflections connected with hope, family, resilience, and healing. Others continue reflecting privately in their own way. Both approaches can be meaningful when chosen sincerely and intentionally. Because reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates wisdom. Wisdom creates clarity. And clarity influences direction. Some viewers also quietly choose to support communities that continue sharing encouragement, reflection resources, uplifting messages, and meaningful conversations through the support links below. Others simply continue reflecting privately. Both choices are meaningful when approached sincerely and freely. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved child, wisdom grows strongest wherever people intentionally choose hope over despair, connection over isolation, and faith over fear." And before this message ends, the father noticed something else hidden underneath the note. A sealed envelope. Across the front, his daughter had written 5 words. Open only if things worsen. The moment he saw those words, his heart immediately began racing. Because suddenly, he realized his daughter had been preparing for something emotionally important long before anyone else noticed. Backhand index pointing right. Comment this word if this message reached your spirit. Hope. Backhand index pointing right, and if you are ready for the next section, comment. Part 2. Because Part 2 reveals what was hidden inside the envelope, and why it completely changed the way the family faced their difficult season together. Part 2, the message hidden inside the envelope that nobody was supposed to see yet. My beloved child. Stop right here. Do not rush this moment. Because what happened next inside that house was something nobody expected. The father sat alone at the kitchen table. The lights were dim. The entire house slept peacefully. Yet one thing refused to leave his mind. The envelope. That simple envelope resting on his daughter's desk. The envelope marked. Open only if things worsen. Pause. Listen carefully. Because this is where everything changed. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, sometimes the people carrying the deepest wisdom are the ones everyone assumes need the most help. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father slowly unfolded the first page. His hands trembled. Not from fear. Not from uncertainty. Because deep inside, he already sensed this letter carried something important. Something his daughter had been holding inside for a very long time. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, hidden strength often reveals itself during the moments people feel weakest. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening has been carrying more strength than they realize. The father began reading. And immediately, The very first line made tears fill his eyes. If you're reading this, then maybe everyone feels discouraged right now. He stopped, looked down, and suddenly felt his heart sink. Because somehow, she understood exactly what the family was going through. Not because someone told her. Because she had been watching quietly, listening quietly, learning quietly. While everyone thought she was lost, she was paying attention. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved child, quiet people often see what busy people overlook." Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The father continued, "Please don't let fear become the loudest voice inside our house." He immediately closed his eyes. Because lately, fear had become loud. Not spoken loudly. Felt loudly. Every conversation felt heavier. Every decision felt more stressful. Every day seemed to carry more pressure than the one before. And slowly, hope began getting quieter. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, difficult seasons become dangerous when people begin listening to fear more than wisdom. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed those words tonight. The father kept reading. I know everyone is trying. I know everyone is tired. I know everyone feels pressure. But please remember. We are still together. The tears immediately began falling. Because suddenly, he realized something painful. The family had become so focused on surviving the season. They almost forgot what they still possessed. Each other. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, sometimes people become so focused on what they fear losing that they stop appreciating what remains. Pause there. Because somebody listening felt that deeply tonight. The father continued reading. And suddenly, a folded note slipped from between the pages. A second note. Smaller. More personal. Across the front. His daughter had written. Read this when you feel like giving up. The father's heart immediately started racing. Because suddenly, this letter felt far bigger than anyone imagined. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, hope often leaves messages for us before difficult seasons even arrive. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The father unfolded the note carefully. And there, written in neat handwriting, was a list. Not of problems. Not of worries. Not of fears. A list called Things Worth Fighting For. The father immediately froze. Because item after item broke his heart. Family dinners. Mom's laugh. Dad's advice. Movie nights. Conversations after midnight. Birthday traditions. The way home feels when everyone is okay. The father couldn't continue reading for several seconds. Because suddenly, he realized what his daughter feared losing most. Not money. Not possessions. Not status. Connection. Family. Togetherness. Archangel Michael says, My beloved child, some treasures never appear on bank statements, yet they are worth more than anything money can buy. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father kept reading. And suddenly, he reached a paragraph highlighted in yellow marker. A paragraph his daughter clearly wanted noticed. If you're feeling discouraged, Please remember, every family experiences difficult seasons. But not every family stays united through them. Let's be one of the families that stays together. The father completely broke down. Because suddenly, everything became clear. His daughter wasn't preparing for failure. She was preparing the family for resilience. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, resilient families are not families without problems. They are families that refuse to face problems alone. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed those words tonight. The father looked toward the hallway. His wife sleeping peacefully. His daughter asleep in her room. And suddenly, he felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Gratitude. Not because every problem disappeared. Because he remembered what truly mattered. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, gratitude often becomes visible the moment people stop focusing only on what is missing. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. And then, the father reached the final page. The page that changed everything. Across the top, his daughter had written, My secret plan. The father's heart immediately started racing again. Because suddenly, he realized this envelope contained far more than encouragement. It contained something she had been preparing quietly for months. Something nobody knew. Something capable of surprising the entire house. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, never underestimate what someone may be building during their quiet season. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. You may notice the QR code on the screen or the link in the first comment and description. For some viewers, it becomes a place for prayer resources, reflection, community encouragement, and faith-centered discussions connected with hope, resilience, healing, and family connection. Others continue reflecting privately. Both approaches are meaningful when chosen sincerely. Because reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates wisdom. Wisdom creates clarity. And clarity influences direction. Some viewers also quietly choose to support communities that continue sharing uplifting messages, encouragement, prayer resources, and meaningful conversations through the support links below. Others simply continue reflecting privately. Both choices are meaningful when approached sincerely and freely. Archangel Michael says, My beloved child, wisdom grows strongest wherever people intentionally choose hope, gratitude, resilience, connection, and faith. And before this message ends, the father noticed one final sentence written at the bottom of the page. A sentence that instantly made his heart stop. If this plan works, our family will never look at difficult seasons the same way again. The moment he read those words, he realized the biggest surprise was still ahead. Backhand index pointing right. Comment this word if this message reached your spirit. Resilient. Backhand index pointing right, and if you're ready for the next chapter, comment. Part 3. Because Part 3 reveals the secret plan hidden inside the envelope, and why it completely transformed the family's future. Part 3, the page your daughter hid for the moment hope felt impossible. My beloved child, stay here. Because the father stared at the second folded page for a very long time. Not because he was afraid of what it said. Because deep inside, he already knew this page had been written during one of the hardest moments his daughter had ever faced. The room felt completely silent. The house slept peacefully. The clock continued ticking softly. And suddenly, the father realized something. while everyone else had been worrying about the future. His daughter had been quietly preparing messages of hope for moments nobody even knew were coming. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, some people become powerful sources of hope because they learned how to keep believing during seasons when everything felt uncertain. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father slowly unfolded the page. And immediately, the first sentence made tears form in his eyes. If you are reading this, then maybe everyone feels tired right now. He stopped. Because somehow, those words felt like they were written directly for this exact moment. The pressure. The uncertainty. The emotional exhaustion. Everything. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, there are seasons when people do not need perfect answers. They need reminders that they are not alone. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father continued reading. Please remember something important. Hard seasons often convince people that nothing is changing. But some of the biggest changes happen quietly before anyone can see them. The father immediately thought about his daughter. How everyone assumed she was struggling. How everyone assumed she was falling behind. Yet secretly, she had been rebuilding herself. Secretly, she had been growing stronger. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, never judge a quiet season too quickly. Sometimes God is building strength where nobody is looking. Pause there. Because somebody listening felt that deeply tonight. The father reached the middle of the page. And suddenly, he found a section highlighted carefully. The title read, When the House Feels Heavy. Underneath it, his daughter had written several reminders. Eat together. Talk honestly. Pray together. Laugh whenever possible. Do not let stress become the loudest voice in the house. The father closed his eyes. Because suddenly, he realized how easy it was to allow pressure to dominate every conversation. How easy it was to discuss problems constantly, while forgetting to protect hope. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, hope grows wherever people intentionally make room for gratitude, connection, and faith. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed that reminder tonight. And right there, written in the margin, his daughter added another note. Sometimes when I need encouragement, I visit places that remind me I'm not alone. The father smiled softly. Because it reminded him that people often need supportive communities, reflection resources, and uplifting messages during difficult seasons. You may notice the QR code on the screen or the link in the first comment and description. For some viewers, it becomes a place to explore prayer resources, encouraging reflections, community discussions, or messages centered on hope and resilience. Others prefer personal reflection. Both choices are meaningful when approached sincerely. Because encouragement matters. Awareness matters. Hope matters. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, wisdom grows stronger whenever people intentionally seek encouragement instead of facing every burden completely alone. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father continued reading. Then he discovered a section titled, If You Think Nothing Good Is Ahead. Immediately, his attention locked onto every word. Look back. Remember every challenge you already survived. Remember every season you thought would break you. Remember every time life surprised you with strength you didn't know you had. The father immediately felt emotional. Because she was right. The family had already survived difficult moments before. And somehow, they always found a way forward together. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, resilience becomes visible when people remember how many storms they already survived. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening has overcome more than they give themselves credit for. The father kept reading. And suddenly, another handwritten note appeared near the bottom. Whenever I feel discouraged, I look for reminders that hope still exists. Again. He smiled softly. Because sometimes people need places that encourage reflection, prayer, gratitude, and connection. You may notice the QR code or the link below. For some viewers, it serves as a reflection page, community space, or encouragement resource connected to messages like these. Others continue their own journey privately. Both paths are meaningful. Because growth happens differently for everyone. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, encouragement multiplies when people intentionally surround themselves with messages that strengthen faith, wisdom, and hope. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The father finally reached the last section. And what he found there completely changed him. The title simply said, The Secret I Never Told Anyone. His heart immediately started racing. Underneath it, his daughter wrote, I was never afraid of difficult seasons. I was afraid everyone would stop believing in themselves. The father immediately broke down crying. Because suddenly, he understood everything. The daughter wasn't carrying hope only for herself. She was carrying hope for the entire family. She wanted everyone to keep believing. Keep trying. Keep moving forward. Even when things felt uncertain. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, some of the strongest hearts are those that continue encouraging others while quietly carrying their own struggles too. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father reached the final paragraph. And there, written carefully at the very bottom, was one last message. Please promise me something. If life becomes difficult, do not stop believing that better days can still arrive. And if you ever need encouragement, find places, people, prayers, and messages that help you remember who you are. The father folded the page slowly. And for the first time in a very long time, he felt genuine peace. Not because every problem disappeared. Because hope returned. You may once again notice the QR code on the screen or the link in the first comment and description. For some viewers, it offers additional reflections, prayer resources, supportive community discussions, and encouragement connected to messages like these. Others continue reflecting privately. Both choices are meaningful when approached freely and sincerely. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, hope becomes powerful when people protect it intentionally, especially during difficult seasons. And before this message ends, the father noticed one final sentence written on the back of the page. A sentence that instantly made his heart stop. The biggest surprise isn't what happens to our family. It's what our family becomes because we refuse to give up. Backhand index pointing right. Comment this word if this message reached your spirit. Hopeful. Backhand index pointing right, and if you're ready for the next chapter, comment. Part 4. Because Part 4 reveals the family decision that transformed the atmosphere inside the house forever. Part 4, the secret plan your daughter never expected the family to discover. My beloved child, stay here. Do not leave this moment yet. Because after reading the words, my secret plan, the father could not look away. The house remained silent. The night remained still. The clock continued ticking softly. Yet suddenly, nothing felt ordinary anymore. Because deep inside, he sensed that the next few pages contained something his daughter had been protecting for a very long time. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, sometimes the greatest surprises are not hidden because people are ashamed of them. They are hidden because they are afraid others will not believe in them. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father carefully turned the page. And immediately, his heart stopped. Not because he found money. Not because he found some miraculous solution. Because what he found was far more powerful. A vision. A plan. A dream. Written across the top of the page were 7 words. How I plan to bring hope back. The father immediately felt tears forming again. Because suddenly, he realized something. While everyone else had been focused on surviving, his daughter had been focused on rebuilding. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, some people spend difficult seasons asking why things are falling apart. Others quietly begin asking how they can help rebuild. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The father continued reading. Step 1. Bring everyone back to the same table. The father froze. Because suddenly, he remembered how different the family had become. Everyone ate at different times. Everyone stayed in different rooms. Everyone carried their own worries privately. And slowly, the family stopped sharing the small moments that once connected them. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, families rarely drift apart through one major event. Distance often grows through hundreds of small disconnected moments. Pause there. Because somebody listening felt that deeply tonight. The father turned the page. Step 2. Create one night every week where nobody talks about problems. He smiled softly. Because somehow, the idea felt beautiful. Simple. Yet powerful. A night for laughter. A night for stories. A night for memories. A night for connection. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, joy is not something families should wait for after difficult seasons. Joy helps families survive difficult seasons. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed those words tonight. The father kept reading. And suddenly, he reached a section highlighted in bright marker. A section titled, The Thing Nobody Realized. His heart immediately started racing. Because something about those words felt different. More personal. More vulnerable. More important. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, hidden truths often carry the deepest healing. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father read slowly. Everyone thought I was giving up. But I wasn't. Everyone thought I stopped believing in our future. But I didn't. Everyone thought I was becoming weaker. But I was becoming stronger quietly. The father immediately covered his mouth. Because suddenly, he realized how misunderstood his daughter had been. While people saw silence, She was building strength. While people saw uncertainty, she was creating purpose. While people saw withdrawal, she was creating a vision for the future. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, quiet seasons often hide extraordinary growth. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening has been growing in ways others cannot yet see. The father continued reading. And suddenly, another folded page slipped out. Across the front, his daughter had written, "Open this after everyone is together again." His hands immediately started trembling. Because suddenly, he realized the biggest part of her plan had not happened yet. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved child, hope always looks ahead. It prepares for restoration before restoration arrives." Pause there. Because somebody listening needed that reminder tonight. The father slowly unfolded the page. And immediately, his eyes filled with tears. Because the page contained only one question. One simple question. A question addressed to the entire family. What kind of family do we want to become after this season ends? The father stared at those words for a very long time. Because suddenly, everything changed. The focus was no longer on surviving the season. The focus was on who they would become because of it. Stronger. Kinder. Closer. More grateful. More connected. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, difficult seasons do not only reveal character. They also shape character. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father looked around the house again. The hallway. The photographs. The memories. The people sleeping peacefully inside their rooms. And suddenly, he understood something life-changing. His daughter's secret plan was never about fixing problems. It was about protecting hope. Protecting unity. Protecting connection. Protecting love. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, some people become the emotional heart of a family without anyone realizing it. Pause there. Because somebody listening felt that deeply tonight. And then, the father noticed something written on the back of the page. A sentence. A sentence that instantly brought tears to his eyes. The future I see for our family is brighter than the season we're currently in. The father broke down completely. Because finally, he understood the truth. The daughter everyone worried about had quietly become the person carrying the most hope. The person carrying the most vision. The person carrying the most faith in the family's future. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, never underestimate the power of one hopeful heart inside a discouraged house. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. You may notice the QR code on the screen or the link in the first comment and description. For some viewers, it becomes a place to explore prayer resources, reflection pages, encouraging community discussions, and faith-centered messages connected with hope, resilience, healing, and family connection. Others continue reflecting privately. Both approaches can be meaningful when chosen sincerely. Because reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates wisdom. Wisdom creates clarity. And clarity influences direction. Some viewers also quietly choose to support communities that continue sharing uplifting messages, encouragement, prayer resources, and meaningful conversations through the support links below. Others simply continue reflecting privately. Both choices are meaningful when approached sincerely and freely. Archangel Michael says, "My beloved child, wisdom grows strongest wherever people intentionally choose hope, connection, compassion, resilience, and faith." And before this message ends, the father noticed one final envelope hidden beneath all the pages. An envelope nobody had mentioned. Across the front, written in large letters, were words that instantly made his heart stop. "Open on the day everything changes." The moment he saw those words, he realized the biggest surprise of all was still waiting. Backhand index pointing right. Comment this word if this message reached your spirit. Vision. Backhand index pointing right, and if you're ready for the next chapter, comment. Part 5. Because Part 5 reveals what was hidden inside the final envelope, and why it completely transformed the future of the entire family. Part 5. The final envelope your daughter prepared for the day the family found its way back. My beloved child, stay here. Do not leave this moment yet. Because the father could not stop staring at the final envelope. The house was quiet. The hallway lights glowed softly. The night felt unusually still. Yet his heart would not slow down. Because across the front of that envelope, his daughter had written words that felt almost impossible to ignore. Open on the day everything changes. Pause. Take a slow breath. Listen carefully. Because what happened next became the moment the family would remember for the rest of their lives. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, sometimes transformation happens so gradually that people only recognize it after they pause and look back. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father held the envelope carefully. And suddenly, a question entered his mind. Had everything already changed? Or was the change still coming? The thought stayed with him. Because over the past few weeks, something had been happening inside the house. Small things. Quiet things. Yet powerful things. People stayed at the dinner table longer. Conversations lasted later into the evening. Laughter returned unexpectedly. The silence no longer felt heavy. And slowly, the house started feeling warmer again. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, healing rarely announces itself dramatically. Most healing arrives through small moments repeated consistently. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening is waiting for a major sign while healing is already happening quietly around them. The father finally opened the envelope. Inside was a single notebook page. Nothing fancy. Nothing dramatic. Just one page. Yet the moment he unfolded it, his eyes filled with tears. Because written across the top were the words. If you're reading this, we made it through. The father immediately froze. Not because every problem had disappeared. Because suddenly, he understood what his daughter meant. Making it through did not mean life became perfect. Making it through meant the family stayed together. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, success is not always measured by what you gained. Sometimes it is measured by what you protected while moving through difficult seasons. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The father continued reading. If you're reading this, then maybe we're laughing again. Maybe we're talking more. Maybe home feels lighter. Maybe we're finally seeing each other again. The tears immediately returned. Because every sentence was true. The family was changing. Not perfectly. Not instantly. But genuinely. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, relationships grow stronger wherever people choose intentional connection over emotional distance. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father kept reading. And suddenly, he reached a section titled, Things I Learned During the Hard Season. The first lesson read, People need encouragement more often than they admit. The father smiled softly. Because suddenly, he realized how true that was. Even strong people need encouragement. Even responsible people need encouragement. Even hopeful people need encouragement. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, never underestimate how much a kind word can strengthen a tired heart. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed that reminder tonight. The second lesson said, Most people are fighting battles nobody else fully understands. The father immediately thought about everyone in the family. His wife. His daughter. Even himself. Everyone had been carrying something. Yet everyone assumed they were carrying it alone. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, compassion grows when people remember they do not know every burden another person carries. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father continued reading. And suddenly, he reached the third lesson. The lesson highlighted more than all the others. Hope is a decision. The father stopped. Read it again. Then again. Because suddenly, those words felt incredibly powerful. Hope is a decision. Not because circumstances are perfect. Not because answers are obvious. But because people choose not to surrender their vision of a better future. Archangel Michael says, My beloved child, hope becomes powerful when people protect it intentionally instead of waiting for circumstances to create it. Pause there. Because somebody listening felt that deeply tonight. The father reached the middle of the page. And suddenly, he discovered something unexpected. A letter addressed directly to him. Dear Dad. His hands immediately began trembling. Because deep inside, he already knew this would be emotional. The letter began. Thank you for never stopping. The father immediately looked away. Because suddenly, all the difficult days came flooding back into his memory. The long nights. The worries. The pressure. The responsibility. And yet somehow, his daughter saw something different. She saw effort. She saw sacrifice. She saw love. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, the people who love you often notice strengths you can no longer see in yourself. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father continued reading. You always worried about protecting us. But what protected us most was your love. The father completely broke down. Because suddenly, he realized something important. His family never expected perfection. They simply needed presence. Connection. Time. Attention. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, people rarely remember every problem you solved. They remember how safe, valued, and loved you made them feel. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed that reminder tonight. The letter continued. If another difficult season comes someday, please remember what we learned. Talk sooner. Laugh more. Stay connected. Don't carry everything alone. And never forget how strong we are together. The father immediately closed his eyes. Because suddenly, the entire journey made sense. The notebooks. The letters. The envelopes. The plans. None of them were about solving a problem. They were about protecting a family. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, some of the greatest acts of love happen quietly where very few people ever notice them. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening has done more for others than they realize. The father finally reached the last paragraph. And there, written in careful handwriting, were the final words his daughter wanted the family to remember forever. The hard season didn't break us. It showed us what truly mattered. The father stared at those words for a very long time. Because suddenly, he realized they were true. The family was not stronger because life became easier. The family was stronger because they became closer. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, difficult seasons often reveal treasures people were too busy to appreciate before. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. You may notice the QR code on the screen or the link in the first comment and description. For some viewers, it becomes a place to explore prayer resources, reflection pages, encouraging community discussions, and faith-centered messages connected with hope, resilience, healing, and family connection. Others continue reflecting privately. Both approaches can be meaningful when chosen sincerely. Because reflection creates awareness. Awareness creates wisdom. Wisdom creates clarity. And clarity influences direction. Some viewers also quietly choose to support communities that continue sharing uplifting messages, encouragement, prayer resources, and meaningful conversations through the support links below. Others simply continue reflecting privately. Both choices are meaningful when approached sincerely and freely. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, wisdom grows strongest wherever people intentionally choose hope, gratitude, compassion, resilience, connection, and love. And before this message ends, the father turned the page over one final time. And there, written in tiny handwriting at the very bottom, was one final sentence. The next chapter of our family begins now. The moment he read those words, he smiled through tears. Because for the first time in a very long time, he truly believed it. Backhand index pointing right. Comment this word if this message reached your spirit. Together. Backhand index pointing right. And if this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs the reminder that hope, connection, and love can grow stronger even after difficult seasons. Part 6. The next chapter began with a discovery nobody expected. My beloved child, stay here. Because the story did not end when the father finished reading the final page. In many ways, that was only the beginning. The house was quiet. The envelope rested gently on the table. The hallway lights glowed softly. And for several long minutes, the father simply sat there. Not thinking about problems. Not thinking about pressure. Not thinking about the difficult season they had survived. Thinking about one sentence. The next chapter of our family begins now. Pause. Take a slow breath. Listen carefully. Because what happened next changed everything. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, many people pray for a new chapter while continuing to live according to the habits of the old one. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father slowly stood from the table. Walked through the house. Looked at every room differently. The living room. The kitchen. The hallway. Places that once felt ordinary now felt precious. Because suddenly, he understood something many people learn too late. The most valuable things inside a home are often invisible. Trust. Warmth. Presence. Laughter. Connection. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, what makes a house feel alive is not what fills the rooms. It is what fills the hearts inside those rooms. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The next morning, something unusual happened. The daughter woke up earlier than everyone else. Not because she had somewhere important to be. Because she wanted to start something. Something she had been imagining for months. Quietly. Privately. Patiently. When her parents entered the kitchen, they found a notebook resting in the center of the table. A brand new notebook. Across the front cover, written carefully in blue ink, were words that instantly captured their attention. Our family's next chapter. The mother immediately smiled. The father immediately became emotional. Because suddenly, they realized the daughter was still building. Still hoping. Still believing. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, hopeful people do not simply survive difficult seasons. They use those seasons to build something stronger afterward. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The daughter opened the notebook. And inside, the first page contained a single question. What kind of memories do we want to create next? Nobody answered immediately. Because suddenly, everyone realized how long it had been since they focused on creating memories instead of solving problems. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, life becomes heavier when people spend all their energy managing responsibilities and none of it creating meaningful moments. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed those words tonight. The daughter smiled softly. Then handed a pen to her mother. Your turn. The mother laughed. A genuine laugh. The kind that had become rare during the difficult season. And for several minutes, everyone began writing. Family trips they wanted to take. Movies they wanted to watch. Traditions they wanted to revive. Conversations they wanted to have. Dreams they wanted to pursue. And suddenly, the atmosphere inside the house changed again. Not because circumstances changed. Because focus changed. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, wherever attention goes, emotional energy follows. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. The weeks continued passing. And slowly, the notebook grew thicker. New pages appeared. New memories appeared. New traditions appeared. One page became known as Things We Never Want to Forget Again. The father's contribution said, never assume someone is okay simply because they are quiet. The mother's contribution said, ask how people are feeling before asking how their day was. The daughter's contribution said, protect family connection before life becomes busy again. The page became everyone's favorite. Because every sentence carried wisdom earned through experience. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, Lessons learned through difficulty often become treasures that guide future seasons. Think about that carefully. Because somebody listening has learned valuable lessons they have not fully appreciated yet. One evening, something unexpected happened. The daughter disappeared into the storage room. The same room where so many emotional moments began. The same room filled with notebooks, letters, drawings, memories. An hour later, she returned carrying a box. A small wooden box. Nobody had seen it before. The father looked confused. The mother looked curious. The daughter smiled. Then placed the box gently on the table. Across the top, written in neat handwriting, were words that instantly captured everyone's attention. Open 5 years from today. The room became completely silent. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, hopeful people plant seeds for future joy long before they see the harvest of those moments. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. The father laughed softly. What is inside? The daughter smiled. Shook her head. No spoilers. Everyone laughed. But then she explained. Inside the box were letters. Letters written by each family member. Letters to their future selves. Letters describing the life they hoped to build. The family they hoped to become. The values they never wanted to lose. The dreams they wanted to protect. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, one of the most powerful things a person can do is create a vision for the future rooted in hope rather than fear. Feel that deeply. Because somebody listening needed exactly those words tonight. That night, everyone wrote. 4 hours. The father wrote about being more present. The mother wrote about protecting joy. The daughter wrote about keeping hope alive no matter what happened. And as they sealed the letters, something beautiful happened. Nobody talked about the difficult season anymore. Not because they forgot it. Because it no longer defined them. Archangel Michael says, my beloved child, healing is not forgetting the past. Healing is refusing to let the past become your entire identity. Pause there. Because somebody listening needed exactly that reminder tonight. Months later, a visitor entered the home. A relative who had not seen the family in a very long time. And after spending an afternoon with them, the relative said something unexpected. This house feels different. The father smiled. The mother smiled. The daughter smiled. Because they understood exactly what the relative meant. The house felt lighter. Warmer. More connected. More alive. Not because life became perfect. Because people became intentional. Jesus speaks softly. My beloved child, love grows strongest where people protect it deliberately. And before this message ends, listen carefully. Because this may be the most important truth of all. Many families wait for life to become easier before they start appreciating each other again. But the wisest families learn something different. They choose connection now. They choose gratitude now. They choose presence now. Because tomorrow is never guaranteed. But today's opportunity to love people well still exists. Archangel Michael speaks. My beloved child, the next chapter of your life is not created by circumstances alone. It is created by the choices you make consistently every day. And somewhere inside the storage room, on a shelf filled with notebooks and memories, One sentence remained written on the very first page of the family's notebook. The difficult season ended the day we stopped facing it alone. Backhand index pointing right. Comment this word if this message reached your heart. New chapter. Backhand index pointing right, and if you're ready for the next section, comment. Part 7. Because Part 7 reveals the unexpected event that tested everything the family had learned, and proved how much they had truly changed.